You're watching Newsday TV. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ken Bufa. A former nurse practitioner from Long Island is now facing the biggest fine in the history of the state health department. The agency says Julie DeVono has been fined $544,000 for falsifying children vaccine records. The former Amityville woman pleaded guilty to selling more than $1 million worth of fake COVID vaccine cards. Now you can find Newsday's full coverage on this story over at Newsday.com. And a strike has been averted for nurses at St. Charles Hospital. So the hospital and its nurses have reached an agreement on staffing ratios and wage increases. The strike was set to begin on Monday. The new contract would run through 2029. And a groundbreaking took place today for a September 11th dedication in Eisenhower Park. Officials are replacing a memorial on Park Boulevard near the golf course. It was dedicated to Nassau firefighters who died in the attacks and from 9/11 related illnesses. The new memorial is expected to be unveiled by September 10th. And construction is officially underway at 2 World Trade Center. The 55-story building will be home to a new headquarters for American Express. Now, this is the final commercial building set to take place in the new World Trade Center complex. Work is expected to be complete in 2031. All right, let's take a look at tomorrow's weather, shall we? Because today it was sticky and hot, and tomorrow we have some clouds overhead. Temps, they're going to be near 90s, at least above 85. And of course, we'll have that 7-day forecast for you later in the broadcast. A microscopic parasite has caused serious stomach issues for hundreds of New Yorkers. Virginia Huey tells us what to know about the outbreak.
There's an outbreak of a diarrhea-inducing parasite happening in the U.S. right now, and New York is among the states being hit by it the hardest. The parasite is called Cyclospora. It infects people through food or water that contains feces. According to the New York State Department of Health, there have been 273 cases in New York City and 121 cases in the rest of New York State reported since May 1st. Cyclosporiasis, by all accounts, is not something you want to deal with.
The real major symptom is diarrhea. It's a watery diarrhea. It's sometimes explosive. And diarrhea is what causes the danger. And if a person has cyclospora, the absolute priority is keeping that person hydrated.
Some Taco Bell locations in Michigan have pulled lettuce, cilantro, pico de gallo, and guacamole off the menu after nearly 1,000 cases of the parasitic illness have been reported by Michigan health officials. So far, investigators have not been able to determine the source or sources causing the infections.
Cyclospora tends to occur in the summer months. It likes the warm weather, and our world has been getting warmer. And so the spread of cyclospora in our environment is becoming more extensive.
The microscopic parasite often spreads through fresh produce, such as bagged salad mixes, fresh herbs like cilantro and basil, raspberries, snow peas, and green onions. To minimize your risk of infection, doctors recommend thoroughly washing fresh produce and skipping bagged salad mixes in favor of whole heads of lettuce. The most foolproof way of preventing infection is to cook your produce.
Heat kills, and a temperature of 158 degrees or more will kill cyclospora.
For Newsday TV, I'm Virginia Huey.
I'm Ken Bufa. A Newsday investigation is finding how much a nonprofit for Nassau University Medical Center is spending on parties. Data shows the Nassau Healthcare Foundation has spent more than $150,000 on events for staff and graduating residents. Now, this is despite the hospital being more than $1 billion in debt. Here's a look at some of those expenses. A $49,000 payment for a graduation party at the Lennon, multiple events at wine bars totaling nearly $40,000, and sponsoring a gala at Gracie Mansion, including transportation from a limo company totaling upwards of $10,000. All right, so I'm joined by the former chair of the Nassau Interim Finance Authority, Richard Kessel, Albany Law School professor Randall Pollard, and Newsday investigative reporter Peter D'Auria. So, Richard, we're going to start with you. Listen, you're a chairman of the board of directors of the Nassau Healthcare Corporation now. So what's going to change? What needs to change? Why is the music on, but the money is off?
Well, I think it's important to point out that this was not done by us. This was done by the prior administration and the prior board and the prior CEO. I think it's outrageous that they spent this kind of money. That's not what the foundation should be for. The foundation should be for raising money to help the hospital survive and go forward.
Now, Peter, can you break down some of the more shocking expenses, more shocking than the limos and the graduations that you have found in your reporting?
Yeah, so I mean, you touched on some of them. $2,000 for a limo ride, $10,000 to sponsor a gala at Gracie Mansion. Something to the tune of $30,000 to sponsor all of these events where the prior CEO would receive an award. And I think, again, like you said, the context here is that this is a public safety net hospital. This hospital has been on really, really shaky financial ground for a long time. It's lost millions of dollars every year. Its total debts over $1 billion. And all this is happening while the board of this foundation is authorizing these expenses for a wine bar, for a staff party at a wine bar. I think that in total was pretty surprising.
Now, Randall, you also teach a course on nonprofit organization. Is this type of spending by a nonprofit legal? What's your reaction to this?
Well, the question really isn't whether it's legal or not, but whether it's appropriate. They're supposed to be encouraging or helping the hospital in its administration. So the key factor wouldn't be whether these expenditures are quote unquote illegal, but are they really directly related to their primary mission?
Now, Richard, what should a foundation like this actually be doing for the hospital?
Well, I think if you want to continue with the foundation, I think that's a good question. Whether or not this foundation should continue to exist. And the new board that we put in place is going to review that very importantly. But if it's going to exist, it should exist for the benefit of the hospital.
So, Peter, I mean, we're not trying to be party poopers here. So I'm going to ask you, what do you want your readers to know about this story? Why is covering this so important?
Yeah, again, this is a public safety net hospital. This is, one of the only public hospitals on Long Island. It serves a tremendous amount of Medicaid patients, of low-income patients, uninsured patients, and it's really necessary for the healthcare kind of infrastructure and community here. And so, $150,000, what is that compared to $1 billion? But, it just goes to, I think, the governance and the administration of this really, really crucial hospital. And I think the important thing is to just say, is this hospital doing all it can? And are we leading it in the best way we can to serve the patients and serve the community?
And you can dive deeper into these expenses and read Peter's full reporting on this story over at Newsday.com.
"250 Years of Long Island History with Doug Geed" is brought to you by EastEndGetaway.com. End up here.
We continue our USA 250 celebration with a look at how a local home became a storage warehouse for ammunition during the Revolution. Here's Doug Geed.
Every day, thousands of people drive along Park Avenue. Main Street in downtown Huntington is a block away. And most drivers probably don't even notice this house. It was built in 1740. This is the original house in its original location. Now, the owner had a small but quirky little role in the American Revolution. I'm Doug Geed with another installment of Newsday USA 250. Unlike military men Nathan Hale and Benjamin Talmadge, many Revolutionary War figures were just ordinary citizens who did what they could to help the Patriot cause. One of them was Job Sammis. He was a weaver who lived in Huntington. This is his house, still sitting on Park Avenue, overlooking the village green, just like 250 years ago.
He agreed to store guns and ammunition for the militia, the local militia that trained on the village green. He agreed to store those in his house.
It wasn't a risky thing to do, but that changed quickly in the summer of 1776.
After the Battle of Long Island, he had to hide those guns.
That's because the British won that battle and occupied Long Island. Suddenly, Huntington was swarming with people loyal to the king. So Sammis hid the ammunition in his house, and it wasn't found for another 150 years.
They were found in the 1930s when someone was doing some renovations, pulled up floorboards, and there were all these Revolutionary War muskets.
These guns in the attic are not the ones that Sammis hid. These are used today by the Huntington Militia, a group of war reenactors.
What's interesting about this house is that this was a working man's house. Usually when we preserve houses as house museums, they're the well-to-do. And it gives you a real feel for what life was like back then, how confined the space was. That Job Sammis and his wife and 6 children lived in this tiny little house.
With a tiny little bed.
This is a reproduction, but it shows what they would have had at the time of the Revolution when Job Sammis and his family lived here.
It's like the original Murphy bed, right?
Yes.
And the most important part of the house was the fireplace, used to heat the house and cook all their meals.
They had bed warmers. We would put some warm coals in here and then run it over the sheets so you didn't get into a freezing cold bed.
It's how they warmed the bed of a man who almost got in hot water for helping the revolutionary cause. In Huntington for Newsday TV, I'm Doug Geed.
All right, here's what's up on Long Island. Stroll through fields filled with sunflowers. The Sunflower Festival is happening Saturday and Sunday at Harb's Farm and Vineyard in Mattituck. Pick your own, $2 a stem. Now see,
New York set the perfect mood on the day we met.
Unbelievable.
I know.
see Darren Criss out east. The star of Glee in the new Broadway musical Maybe Happy Ending is live in concert at the West Hampton Beach Performing Arts Center Saturday and Sunday at 8.
Like a surgeon, organ transplants are my line.
And Weird Al brings his comedy rock show to Long Island. He's playing his iconic hits at UBS Arena Saturday night for a stop on his bigger and weirder tour. All right, let's take a look at your 7-day forecast to see how the weekend is shaping up. Now, tomorrow you saw we are in the 80s, near 90s. Saturday, Sunday, we are in the 80s. Cloud overhead on Saturday, but we look dry for the next 7 days. Temps, they're getting warmer.
Long Island weather is brought to you by Sun Nation Energy, helping Long Islanders save on their energy bills for over 20 years.
Now, for more on the stories you've seen here today, head over to Newsday.com. Click Get More below the Newsday TV video box. I'm Ken Buffa, Newsday, covering Long Island like no one else can.
We cover everyone, from the mom and pop shops to the corporate giants on Long Island.
I'm passionate about digging for the truth. We're doing what nobody else does on Long Island.
My goal is to explain how major economic trends and policy changes impact the real estate market in your neighborhood.
If you want to know where your tax money is being spent, you should read Newsday.
Newsday, covering Long Island like no one else can.